Hello and welcome to another small game of Black Powder. So finally got around to actually being able to do another battle report. It just took a second lockdown. So this is just a small scenario, and I've called it Hold Until Relieved, and we're just going to have a small defensive action against a larger force while holding out for reinforcements. So as you can see over here, we have a fortified chateau, which is where the French are going to be defending. And this has been split into 4 zones. We have this zone at the front here, where the French have barricaded the entrance to the chateau. We have this middle zone here, and we have a zone with the barn, and then we have an outer barricade that they've created as well. Now, each of these zones is worth 2 points at the end of the game, with the exception of the middle zone, which is worth 3. Now, all of the barricades and the walls count as obstacles for hand-to-hand combat purposes and for shooting. However, over here, we've just got one small addition, which is the pile of unburied French. The French have been holding on to this position for a day or two, and they've repulsed many British attacks. However, they haven't managed to keep on top of the burial detail, so by the time the British have attacked here, they've been caught a little bit unawares. So any French in this zone here will take a -1 to their break test results, which might not make a lot of difference if my rolling's anything to go by. The British can deploy from the top corner in the field over there and the road, and they will have 2 large brigades to attack with. The French have 2 undersized brigades to defend with, but the French do have reinforcements that are coming, and they can start being rolled for from turn 3, and they will come on down this road here. So the British player has got to try and smash into the chateau, secure it, and then get ready to repulse potentially a second French attack. We have a large area of woodland up on here. Now, for the sake of argument, basically everything within here counts as concealed, or just not clear line of sight. That whole area is wooded. The roads give the normal bonuses, and the buildings can be entered as well. So that's pretty much it. We're not going to be using the rules for broken brigades unless a brigade commander is killed, and we will be using the form square rules from the Clash of Eagles book, because there is some cavalry that could come into play. So anyway, we'll get deployed, and then we'll go through the forces. I'll come back to you then. Okay, so that's deployment done. So for the French, we have a very, very small brigade of Old Guard who are down here defending the front of the chateau, and they have a single battery of cannon with them. And then we have this other brigade. So we have the, what have we got here? This is the 2nd Battalion of the 28th Line. The 1st Battalion's over there. We have the 2nd Battalion of the 105th Line, and we have some Voltigeurs that are defending at the barricade. And that is the sum of all the French forces for now. Later on, when the reinforcements come on, there's line battalions, hopefully some heavy cavalry, and an ambulance, which is gonna be coming over. Then over on the British side, we couldn't quite fit all the troops on in one go. So over here, starting over here, we have the 95th Rifles, who of course are probably going to be going through the wood. We then have the Highlanders. I can't remember which Highland regiment. I'll have a look in a minute. I think it's the 42nd. We have the 4th King's Own Line, 69th, and then we have one battery and a half battery. We have Scots Greys at the back in reserve. And then over here, you can see a small unit of Jaegers, another small unit of Jaegers here, and a Hanoverian Line Battalion. Now, there are 2 units of Hanoverian Line still left to come on to the board, which Hayley will be rolling for from turn 2. Now, just to sort of clarify over here, for movement purposes, between the zones, it just counts as a single order. So if I wanted this unit to move into this zone here, they would only need to one order, one move to do that. The only area, once they're outside of this complex, then it's normal movement. In terms of how many units can occupy an area, each area can hold 2 units. So there we go. That's the initial setup. So the French are looking down the barrel of quite a few guns that are coming. So British have the first turn on the attack. We'll get straight to it. Right, so
bit of a mixed bag.
Mixed bag for, well, for you.
Okay.
It's good. It's good for me. Hayley's actually just realised, apparently this is the first time she's actually been given her own tape measure. So she feels, what did you say? You feel like you've been upgraded?
Promoted.
Promoted, not upgraded.
You've been worried at what I might start measuring.
All right. So where were we? Yes, you didn't do very well.
I did okay. It was
So
50-50.
why do you say what we got over here? So
things moved. I remember turns where you moved nothing.
So some stuff moved. So we've got the 95th Rifles moved through the hedge line and have started to move, as I thought they would, onto the flank. The Highlanders managed to move and form a line, and then it all went wrong. And Hayley failed her order check, re-rolled and failed again. So the rest of the brigade couldn't move. The units that were still in column, which was the 69th and the King's Own, could still move forwards. That was it for them. And then on to the Hanoverians. What did you do? You got the skirmishers. They moved down the hill.
Yeah.
Okay, but then you tried to move these skirmishers and then failed as well.
Yeah.
So the only thing
was too good.
The rolling was too high. So the only thing that could move was this unit in column has moved forward. So if we stand over here, so the British advance hasn't been spectacular, but we'll go into the British shooting. Okay, who are we going to shoot with first?
Well, it appears that there's only one unit I can actually shoot with.
Yep.
It's within range, so it's going to be the Highlanders.
Yep.
Gonna shoot these guys at the front here.
Skirmishers. Okay. So you've got an 18-inch range. We have actually measured it, and we know they're just in. So you need a 4 up normally, but they're not a clear target. First of all, because they're skirmishers, and second of all, because they're in cover. So you need 5s, and but you get first fire like all British line units do. So you're rolling 4 dice, needing 5s to hit. 2 hits. The cover gives me a +1 bonus, so I need 2 saves of 3. 1 save, 1 casualty. Okay, so that's first blood to Hayley. First casualty there. There's no other units in range, so a very, very quick first turn.
So the first turn.
It is. So now we'll just go into French turn 1. Right, so that'll teach me to be cocky. Basically, that was it. I wanted to move my Voltigeurs out so they could skirmish in front of here and my line battalion could take up position on the barricade. But I blundered and I rolled a double 6, so I used my reroll and still failed. So nothing has moved in the French line at all. So we're just going to go straight into the French shooting. Okay, so shooting. The only thing that's going to be... Oh no, my skirmishers will be in range because you shot at me. So the first thing I'm going to fire is the guard cannon. Are going to fire... Now you have to go for the closest target normally, which would be the Jaeger unit here. However, because they don't present a clear target, because they're skirmishers, I can change that. So I'm going to shoot at the 69th line. Now, because it's artillery and they're shooting at a unit in a column, they get +1. They're at half range, so I get to roll 2 dice for the battery. So I'm looking at 2 dice, needing 3s to hit. 2 hits and they're disordered. 2 saves of 6 because it's -2 when they're in a column. Oh, that's definitely not 2 6s.
The other end of the dice.
So 2 casualties and a disorder. So the 69th, just 1 casualty off their stamina limit. The next thing I'm going to fire is the Voltigeurs, the skirmishers, are going to fire back at the Highlanders. So as they're a small unit, they only get 2 dice. They're firing at the Highlanders, so they need 4 or more. However, because they're sharpshooters, they get to reroll 1. That's a good job, isn't it? So reroll 1.
Hey,
Oh, 3 was...
all the ones.
Well, what a worthless turn 1. So yeah, that's the end of that. So we'll go into British turn 2. I've got something to say, really, is there? I reckon there'll be some action, though. There'll be some lines are forming now. So, some movement on the British side. So, over here, well, where had the 95th gone? They've gone all the way through the woodland and taken up position there, right on the flank. So, they're going to be in there. I'm going to have to deal with them. So, I think you're thinking, yeah, they're doing what they do best. Highlanders carried on down, formed a line to give fire. That's the King's Own. You've moved them down, haven't you?
Yep, moved them along.
Moved them in support. Brigade commanders come down the hill a little bit. 69th couldn't do anything. And unfortunately, the artillery blundered. So the artillery can't do very much. They blundered and moved off to the side, which meant, again, that this lot couldn't do anything else. So the cavalry is still stranded at the back. Hayley then decided to try and activate the Hanoverians and potentially bring on the other 2 units. Opted for the Jaegers to try and come across the road, and blundered straight away. I didn't blunder, just failed the command roll. So that brigade again can't do anything except for this unit because they're in a column. They could make a single move. So what do you think of?
It's not a good day.
It's not a good day. I mean, you've got like a first attack going. Things moved. It's just they're not particularly supported. They're a bit out on their own, aren't they?
Yeah.
So we'll go into British shooting. So who would you like to shoot with first?
Okay, we're gonna go for the 95th. They're gonna shoot skirmishers.
Okay. Oh, that's gonna be brutal.
They
okay.
get me down so
Are
far.
they within 6 inches?
Of these guys?
He's a casualty marker. It's this guy here.
This is 6 inches.
Oh, you measure it while I work out the rest.
Oh.
I'm not going to be cheated by the 95th Rifles over an inch.
They're within 6 inches.
All right, okay, fine. So you get +1 to hit because they're in 6 inches, but you're -1 because you're shooting at skirmishers. So you need 2 dice, needing 4 or more, and you get to reroll 1 because of the sharpshooter rule. So you get to reroll 1, which is a good thing. 1 hit. 1 save of 4. No, so now I am shaken. Okay, so they're now shaken. So if they take one more casualty, they'll be testing at the end of the turn, taking a break test. Who are you going to go with now?
Highlanders next.
Highlanders, okay. So if you use first fire, so it's just going to be 3 dice, needing 5s because the skirmishers aren't a clear target. Oh, 2, and I'm disordered. 2 saves of 3. 1 save, 1 casualty. They are going to be taking a test. Okay, that's the end of the British shooting, and the only break test I've got to take is for my Voltigeurs. So they got 1 excess casualty, and they're disordered. So I'm rolling 2d6 minus 2, and I want nice and high. That is 11 minus 2, so 7 or more. They hold their ground. Okay, so they've held their ground, but I'm going to have to relieve them, I think. So
Hold them till they relieve.
yeah, it's the pressure is going to start to mount though. So we'll go into French turn 2. So, I tried to be a bit tactical. So the Voltigeurs have performed a disorderly retreat to the rear, and then the 28th 1st Battalion have moved up to take position at the barricade, nice and fresh, to try and face down those waves of British that are coming down the line. However, I blundered, well, I didn't blunder, I failed, and then used a reroll to get them in. I tried to turn this unit to try and face down the 95th, and then I did fail, so they were all just stationary. But to be fair, they're just holding their ground at the minute, so I know that Hayley has to try and put some pressure on, because she needs to try and start taking things before my reinforcements start rocking up next turn. So we'll go into the French shooting, and there won't be an awful lot of it, but I think we'll start here. So the 28th 1st Battalion are going to open fire on the Highlanders. So I'll get 3 dice, and I'm going to be hitting on 4s. And that's 3 2s. That's all a miss.
All the 2s.
All the 2s. It was all right. It's one better. It was all the 1s last turn. So over half the battalion here can see the 95th. Well, they're concealed, but they know where they are. So they're going to fire. So I'm going to be at -1 to hit them. So I've got 3 dice hitting on 5s. Really? My skirmishers are going to fire at the 95th. Now it's -1 because I'm shaken, and -1 because I'm shooting at skirmishers. So I've got 2 dice and 6s to hit. Yay! And that's a disorder. So the 95th, who are in cover, need 1 save of 5. Nope, so there's 1 casualty and they're disordered. So my cannons, the old guard cannons, are going to fire at the Hanoverian column that's advancing over the hill. So I'll measure out the range and just see how many dice I get for this barrage. So they're within 24 inches, so it's 2 dice hitting on 3s because I'm shooting at a column. 1 hit, so it's going to be 1 save of 6. No, 1 casualty on the Hanoverian column. Okay, so overall, again, not the greatest turns. We just can't get the momentum going on here. So over here, this disorder now comes off. 95th, because they're elite, will get to roll to remove that disorder. And I don't know, we'll have to see if now the British can get moving. Turn 3, here we go. Right, so
getting a bit livid.
livid.
I'm a bit livid.
They're not doing what you want, are they?
No.
Right, so you decided to go to Hanoverians first this time, didn't you? So what
They're
happened
just
here?
wide out in the open, waiting to be shot.
Okay, so the Jaegers managed to come down onto the road. Potentially going to have some issues from the old guard there. This lot just haven't moved, enjoying life
They're
under
just
the tree.
having a picnic under
Having a
there.
cup of tea. Well, Hanoverians having some Jaeger. They're Jaegers having some Jaeger. These guys wanted to move down, didn't. But because they're in column, they get one order for free, so they formed a line. Hayley then tried to move cavalry and failed.
As you can see, they're still there.
As you can see, they're still there. Scots Greys just waiting. They're waiting. And so the rest of the brigade couldn't do anything except for the 69th, who formed a line because they're in a column. So again, they could do something for free. And the Highlanders were within range to do an initiative move, and so have charged the 28th. So the 28th get to do their closing fire. And there'll be some close combat over here. Okay, so 3 dice hitting on 4s for the closing fire. And that's 1 hit. They're disordered. You need 1 save of 4. No, 1 casualty and they're disordered. Right, so who would you like to shoot with first?
I'm going to go with the Jaegers at the old guard.
At the old guard, the line battalion. Okay, so that's going to be 2 dice because they're a small unit. Old guard are behind a wall, so you need 2 dice hitting on 5s, but because they're skirmishers, they've got sharpshooter, so you get to re-roll 1 dice. Ooh. No, and they're disordered. Okay, so the old guard have a morale save of 3 normally. They're behind a wall, which gives them +1. So I need 2 saves of 2.
Oh,
Yay!
whatever.
The 2s. The 2s.
Whatever.
But they are still disordered. Right, what are we going to go with now?
Cannons. This guy.
A half battery. Yeah,
I'm
that
gonna
gap's
go-
big enough. For the other cannons.
Yep.
So you're over half range. Cannons don't present a clear target, and they're not a clear target anyway, so you're going to need 1 dice, needing a 6. Oh, unlucky. Okay, so what are we going to shoot with next?
King's Own are going to have a little try at the cannons.
Yeah,
there.
because I think that's all they can see anyway. Okay, so it's first fire, so you're going to get 4 dice this time. Normally hitting on 4s, you're shooting at a cannon that doesn't present a clear target, and they're not a clear target anyway, so you get 4 dice needing 5s. 2 hits and they're disordered. Okay, so they have a morale of 4. I'm in cover, which gives them a +1 bonus, so freeze. No, God, no. Oh, that's really bad. I think they're shape. Oh, that's really bad. However, I do get to use a perfect opportunity again. Let's chuck some cannon casualties out. There we go. Oh dear, that's
Good.
that's good.
Good.
Good. That's really bad. So they're shaken. 1 more casualty, and actually, I think they might be taking a test anyway. Let me just check. Okay, it's okay. They actually have a stamina of 2, but the guard battalion brigade over here is taking a pounding. So the cannons are now shaken. They're disordered. The actual guard is disordered as well. So the line is starting to come under a lot of pressure. Moving on to the next unit, 95th Rifles.
Yep.
So who are they going to shoot at? It's going to have to be this line unit because... no, they're in combat, so it'll actually be these because they're the closer target than those. So you're disordered, which is going to be a -1, but you're within 6 inches, which is +1. So you're going to have 2 dice hitting on 4s. Oh, no! Okay, so they're disordered, and I need 2 saves of 4. Yes. Oh no, that's 2 casualties. Okay, it's. I think you're getting into your stride now. Right, so that's the end of shooting. So I'll just pan across the battle line here. You can see disorder on the old guard, disorder on the Highlanders who have charged in, disorder on the 105th here, shaken units everywhere, and disorder on the 95th Rifles. So yeah, the pressure is starting to build up on the line here. So we will now do the hand-to-hand combat, which should be very interesting. Highlanders are a hand-to-hand combat unit. They got the ferocious charge rules, so they will be re-rolling any misses, I believe. So we'll get to it now. Okay, so the Highlanders charge, which gives them +1 to their roll. However, they're disordered from the incoming fire.
So they're on evens. Now they have a hand-to-hand value of 6. So 6 dice needing 4 or more. Now because we're giving them the ferocious charge rule, they get to re-roll all misses on the turn that they charge. So Hayley's got a real chance here to kind of break through. 6 dice looking for 4s. You can re-roll all your misses. Oh, 5 hits.
Okay, so I took 5 hits. I have 6 dice going back. However, I don't get any kind of re-rolls. Looking for 4s. 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. Right, I'm defending the obstacle, so I get +1 to my save. So I need 5 saves of 3. All but 1. Hayley, you need 4 saves of 4. All but 1. Okay, so just looking at combat results. So Hayley caused 1 casualty on me. I have 1 unit in support to the rear within 6 inches, so I have a combat result of 2. I caused 1 casualty on Hayley, and she has 1 unit in support of the 95th Rifles there. So it's 1 big draw. We took 1 casualty each. No one is shaken, so no one needs to take any tests. So that is going to grind on into the next turn, which isn't really what I wanted. I wanted to kind of repel them and then put volleys into them, because now next turn they're going to move into support. So that combat will carry on. Okay, so end of the turn, and there's a bit of pressure here. Now, even though my reinforcements can turn up this turn, doesn't mean they're necessarily going to. I've still got a roll for them to turn up. However, Hayley, all of your disorder now comes off. So the Highlanders are no longer disordered, and neither are the 95th Rifles. I will get to roll at the start of my turn to remove the disorder on the old guard. Hopefully they will. I might have to think about moving this unit up to do some support work. Anyway, we'll go into French turn 3. Okay, so not a lot of stuff on the French side. Old Guard removed their disorder for the elite. This unit have actually moved into the building. So I'm going to put a few of the stands in there, but I will leave the command stand outside, just so I remember that they're there. So they've moved into the building so they can start just giving some fire support. Over on this side, the Colonel has joined the skirmishers and managed to do a rally on me order and remove a casualty, so they're no longer shaken. I forgot to say at the start of the game, we are still applying victory points for casualties and shaken units. So for every shaken unit at the end of the game is 1 victory point, and for every destroyed unit is 2, and that's on top of the victory points gained from the points over here in the Chateau. So we're into the French shooting. So we might as well start with the Old Guard, who are going to fire at those skirmishers. The Old Guard get 4 dice. They're shooting at not a clear target, so they're going to be hitting on 5s. Only 1 hit. 1 save of 4 for the Jaegers. There we go. My cannons that are shaken and disordered are going to, again, not fire at the Jaegers, because they don't have to, because they're not a clear target. They're going to fire at the Hanoverian Line Battalion. Am I within 24 inches? Hayley, do you mind just measuring that? Yeah. So 2 dice. I'm not over half range, so it's going to be 2 dice hitting on 5s for being shaken and disordered. Oh dear. 2 saves of 5 because of the -1. No, 2 casualties. That unit is now shaken. My unit that's in the building has an 18-inch range, and they are in range of the King's Own. Now, when you're in a building, it's exactly like when you're in a square. You get to fire with 1 dice per facing. So the front facing is going to fire with 1 dice at the King's Own, and it's very simply going to be hitting on a 4. Oh, it's a 6. They're disordered. 1 save of 4. Yes, but the pot shot has disordered them. That's very fortunate for me. So they're still in combat. They can't. They'll fight their combat. So the 105th 2nd Battalion is going to fire at the 95th Rifles again. They're not a clear target, and they're disordered this time. So it's going to be 3 dice needing 6s to hit. No hits. My skirmishers are now going to shoot at the 95th, so I'm going to get 2 dice, and I'm going to be hitting on 5s because they're not a clear target, but because they're sharpshooters, I get to re-roll 1 dice.
Oh, one hit, and that's going to be one save of 3 for the 95th. Hayley's quite right. I forgot my reroll. So, is it another one? Yep, they're disordered again as well.
You're welcome.
Cheers. Yeah, cheers. Thank you.
2 saves of 3 for the 95th. Oh, another one. They're shaken and disordered.
Okay, so hand-to-hand combat. So I'll roll first this time. So it's very straightforward. No one won the combat last turn. Otherwise, there's a +1 modifier. So I've got 6 dice hitting on 4s. 4 hits. Okay, so the Highlanders coming back, so they're not going to get their ferocious charge this turn. However, they do still have the tough fighters rule, so they still get to re-roll 1 miss. So it's 6 dice hitting on 4s, re-rolling a single miss. Okay, so far 2 hits, re-roll 1. 3 hits. 4 saves of 4 for the Highlanders. All 3 dead. And 3 saves of 3 for the French because they're defending the barricade. Only 1 dead. I think they're going to be taking a break test, the Highlanders. Okay, so I caused 3 casualties on the Highlanders and I'm supported to the rear. So I have an end result of 4. The Highlanders have only caused 1 casualty on the French and they're supported to the flank by the 95th Rifles, who... the 95th Rifles are shaken. I can't find a rule in the rulebook at the moment that says that shaken units can't support. So if I'm wrong, someone just correct me in the comments. Sure you will. But let us know. So at the moment we're going to play it that they can. So they have a final result of 2. So the French win by 2. There's 3 casualties onto the Highlanders. So the Highlanders are going to be taking a break test. They are 2 models, casualty models in excess of their stamina. So it's a break test -2. So 2d6 -2. 5, I believe they're going to be retreating in good order. Or maybe not good order. They're going to be running away, kilts billowing in the wind.
So they've got pants on.
Let's hope they got pants on. Okay, so they retreated and they're now shaken and disordered. The French line is currently holding. As Hayley has pointed out, I've been a bit of a nugget and I completely forgot about my reinforcements, but we're not going to go back and retcon that or do anything. That was my fault as a general. I forgot to bring them on. So we're going into British turn 4 and we'll see what happens. Hayley's unhappy. Fuming. They're not doing what she wants them to be doing. So why don't we just have a quick recap? Why don't we have a quick recap of what's happened?
I don't know if I want to.
So you were elected to use the Hanoverian battalion first and actually try and bring on the other 2 units, which you've managed.
Yep, they're here.
They're here, but you did blunder and had to use the reroll from the general. You got the Jaegers finally out from under the tree. And this unit of Jaegers has actually moved across to keep on and their firefight here. What else happened?
Not a lot. Bad things happened.
Scots Greys tried to...
That patch of grass is going to be bare soon. They've been there so long.
so just moved. The horse didn't move anywhere. No. The reroll had already been used. The rest of the brigade can't move. These guys are disordered anyway, so they can't do anything. That entire brigade has just remained stationary. So good news for me. However, it does mean there's going to be a lot of British shooting, I think. So we will go into British shooting for turn 4. So who do you want to start with?
Start with those guys.
With the Jaegers?
Yeah.
Okay, the Old Guard?
Yep.
So the Jaegers get 2 dice. Shooting at the Old Guard behind a wall is going to be 5+, and you're a sharpshooter, so you can reroll 1 miss. I've disordered, and you can reroll 1. Okay, disordered and a hit. I need a single save of 2. Yeah, saved it, but Old Guard's still disordered. What do you want to do next?
We'll do the cannons at cannon.
Cannon at cannon?
Yep.
Cannon at cannon. You're hitting on a single 6.
Just a 6.
Just a 6.
Just a 6.
Just a 6. There we go. And now it's the... What do you want to do now? I think the only unit... Well, we've got the Highlanders and we've got the 95th.
Yeah,
So
we'll
which
do
ones
Highlanders
we'd like to do?
next.
Highlanders next. So that's going to be 3 dice and you're going to be hitting on 6s because they're behind cover and you're shaken. 1 hit. So I'm disordered. 1 save of 3 because of the cover? No. So casualty and I'm disordered. So 95th next?
Yep.
Okay. And they're going to go for the 100, no, but 28, sorry, because they're the closest. So if you can put 2 casualties on, well, 1 casualty will shake me, 2 will mean I've got to take a break test. So you're within 6 inches, that's +1. That gets rid of the problem of the shaken. So you've got 2 dice and you're going to be hitting on 4s, re-rolling 1 because you're marksman. Okay. Don't like that. Bugger.
Double 5.
I need 2 saves of 4.
Oh,
Just the 1, so they're now shaken. Okay, so that's actually it. So a very, very quick British turn of shooting. But Hayley, all that disorder can now come off the board.
What of mine?
Yeah, that all comes off now.
Yay.
There we go. And now we're into French turn 4. Time to see if the French relief column arrives. Right, so yeah, stuff happened. The old guard didn't manage to get rid of their disorder. Major thing, my reinforcements did not turn up this turn, so I've got to try and hold out a little bit longer. Which, you know, we'll be turn 5 next, 6-turn game. He's really got to try and push in. We'll roll obviously to see, but you know, we'll see what happens. Over here, the 28th who are on the barricade performed a disorderly retreat. And then the 105th 2nd Battalion, who are a bit fresher, I've moved up to take their place on the line. The Colonel has joined the 28th and he then removed a casualty off of them. The Voltigeurs have moved up to the hedge, and I'm going to see if I can see those green jackets off once and for all. Now I'm a little bit concerned because I start taking casualties because I'm near the pile of dead. That's going to start affecting my break tests. So we'll get into French shooting. No hand-to-hand combat. I've just got to try and put disorder on them so they can't make an advance. So the old guard are going to fire at the skirmishers. They don't present a clear target. I get 4 dice and I'm going to be hitting on 5s. That's unbelievable. Right, so now the cannons. Do you know what? I'm going to carry on just firing at that unit over there. So I will get 2 shots and I'm going to be hitting on 5s because I'm shaken. No hits. The 105th Line Battalion are going to fire at the Highlanders. I just need to put 1 casualty on them to make them take a break test. So 3 shots, needing 4s to hit. That is 3 hits and you're disordered. 3 saves of 4.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't believe it. 1 shot from the building at them. So hitting on a 4. Yeah. And it's another save of 4. Yeah, that's the casualty. And that will be a break test at the end of the phase. Right. It's time to get rid of a 95th.
Never.
Right. 2 dice from the skirmishers within 6 inches. Hitting on 4s. So it's +1 for the 6 inches. But -1 because they don't present a clear target. Looking for 4s, re-rolling 1 for the sharpshooter. That's 1 hit. 2 hits. Cover isn't coming into play because I'm up against it, so it's 2 saves of 4.
Yeah.
No! Oh, they just won't die. Why don't they die? When I had them, when I did, they're not reliable. When I had them in the last game, they went running off down the road, tally ho, and then just got seen off first.
They feel pretty reliable to me.
So it's just that's the end of the shooting phase for me. It's the Highlanders to take a break test. Okay, so break test for Highlanders. They've got 1 casualty in excess of their stamina, so that's -1, and they've got disorder, so that's another -1. So Hayley, you got 2d6 -2. You just want really high. So -2 is a 6. I think they're going to be retreating again. No, they hold their ground and don't move. Okay, that's the end of French turn 4, and well. I don't know, it can go anyway at the minute. I'm still holding on to the objectives, but my troops are getting increasingly weakened. I think if Hayley can actually, she's not got much disorder, just a couple of, well, 1 unit, so she can bring stuff into bear now. That's really going to affect me. So we'll go into British turn 5. I think the phrase is tally ho.
Just got sick of messing around.
It's just sick of messing around. So Hayley, apparently this was all just a ploy, and Hayley's entire army is just charged across the battlefield. Yeah. Damn the French guns. I don't even sure where to start. That was exhausting.
You're exhausted.
So exhausting. Right. So it started over here. So the King's Own charged into the 105th, the 2nd Battalion, the 105th. The 69th have moved up in full support, which I'm a bit worried about because they're obviously fresh troops. The Highlanders can't do anything. That's the only saving grace there. Hayley decided just to give it a all and just do a charge.
Now, Scots Greys! Now!
The Scots Greys have finally, for the only action that started down here, they charged down the hill between the guns and have engaged the guard cannon. The guard cannon are already shaken. I don't think that's going to go well for them. Over on this side, you got a bit of Hanoverian movement, didn't you? Yeah. Jaegers have moved down the hill.
Yep.
These guys moved up in column.
Yep.
These guys can't do anything. Oh, sorry, we forgot about the cannon. The cannon have finally moved up. But the thing is, I think that everything is blocked.
That's fine. They can come in later.
They can come in later. Well, yeah, hopefully when my stuff turns up. The only saving grace I've got is while this Hanoverian battalion moved forward bravely, the other Hanoverian battalion blundered.
And thought,
okay. We don't need any of that, and they've just gone. They've just gone back. They're going to sit this one out. They can try and re-enter the board next turn, but we'll just have to see. So lots of combat this turn. So we'll get straight to it. Okay, so it's British shooting. Where do you want to start?
I'm going to start like this.
Of course. With them.
Yep.
Okay, so you're shaken, which gives you a -1, but you're within 6 inches, which gives you a +1. So you've got 2 shots. And you're hitting on 4s. That's a 6. You can re-roll the other one.
That's a 5. I don't want to re-roll.
Rules of it goes in the tray.
Since when? When were those rules decided?
That's just Dice Gods rules. Oh, damn it. It doesn't matter anyway. So you got 2 hits and I'm disordered. 2 saves of 4.
Ooh.
Oh, no. And they've taken the casualty, so they're shaken. And it's a break test for the Voltigeurs. Probably add as well that we already did the closing fire for all these units, and the closing fire from the French was utterly ineffectual. So yeah, that was a problem. So anyway, 95th have been. The only other unit I think that can shoot are these Jaegers here. So, and their only target's the old guard. Are you gonna pop the old guard? Oh, I should have got rid of that last turn. We'll get rid of that just so it can be added on again. Convenient. So there we go. So you get 2 shots. They're behind cover, so you're hitting on 5s, re-rolling 1. Need 5s. And you can re-roll, but you can re-roll one of them.
Snake eyes. Oh. Another one.
Yay!
4 3 1s in a row.
All right, which combat would you like to do first?
Let's do the cavalry.
You want to do the cavalry?
Yeah.
Oh man, so Scots
Or
Greys.
someone take a hoof to the face.
It's just gonna be the hoof, yeah. It just comes over, hoof in the barrel of the gun. I've got a pretty good idea how this is gonna go. So yeah, let's work this out. I knew this was gonna be brutal. So Scots Greys are heavy dragoons. They get 8 dice. They charge, so they're hitting on 3s. They're also heavy cavalry, and they've got a +1 rule, so they automatically get to add 1 to their combat results. So if they win, they're going to win by a lot. So Hayley has 8 dice hitting on 3s. That's all but 1. Let's just check this out. Okay, so where are we? Where are we? Guard. Imperial Guard cannon. Just want to see. Here we go. 1 dice. Hitting on a 4.
I bet you saved
7 saves of 3. Come on. No, I'm not even gonna bother re-rolling that one because it's too in here. Right, and I know the results on the break test. The cannon, they're gone. They're gone. The Scots Greys have seen them off. Right, so because that was a charge move, and because it's going to be cool. It's not a building as such as fortification. The Scots Greys can move in, and we'll be fighting some fresh combat with the Old Guard. Now, the Old Guard are pretty good in hand-to-hand combat, but
with horses.
Well, okay. So Hayley gets 8 dice again, hitting on 3s. All but 2, so 6 hits. The Old Guard have 8 dice hitting on 4s, and they have the tough fighters rule, so they get to re-roll 1 dice. And I will re-roll that. There we go. 5 hits. 6 saves of 3 for the Old Guard. All but 1.
Save.
5 saves of 4 for the Guard cavalry. 3
3.
casualties. Oh dear. Might have overstretched themselves
2
a bit.
casualties.
2
3
casualties.
Saves, 2 casualties.
Sorry, no, that was 4s, so I have got 1. So, the Guard have caused 3 casualties. The cavalry are not supported because these guys are in combat, and these guys are going to be... Because you can only support 1 combat, and I presume these are going to be supporting these. So, you are on a grand total of 1, because you caused 1 casualty. The Guard caused 3. And you lost the combat, so it's going to be you taking the break test. There's no modifiers to it because there's no excess casualties, no disorder, so it's just a straight up 2d6. They're gone. They are out of there. They're gone. So the Scots Greys, but what a charge! What a charge! Down the hill, saw off the guns, and then got seen off by the Old Guard. But you have put a casualty on the Old Guard, which is annoying. Right, so now that brutality's over with, we'll deal with the line here. So the 4th King Zone gets 6 dice for melee. They've charged, so they're +1 to hit, so you get 6 dice, needing 3s to hit. And all but 1. The 105th 2nd Battalion have 6 dice, needing 4s. That's 3 hits. 5 saves of 3 for the 105th, just because they're behind the cover. 2 casualties, so they are now shaken and they're in excess casualties. 3 saves of 4 for the King Zone. 1 casualty. Okay, so let's look at the combat results. Hayley, can you just say, I don't know if they're supporting. I think they might be too far away.
6 inches.
Yeah, but while Hayley's measuring that, so the King Zone is supported to the rear and to the flank for 2.
So, what do you reckon?
No, that's out. And they caused 2 casualties. So the King Zone finish on 4. The French caused 1 casualty, and they have no support. So the French lose. So the French are taking a break test. They've got 1 excess casualty, so it's going to be 2d6 minus 1. Okay, so 2d6 minus 1. That's a 6, so they're retiring. Okay, so because I couldn't make a retreat the full 9 inches, because these guys are already there, I had to do a double move back to here. They're shaken and disordered, and the King Zone, the British have now taken that position. So we will see what's going to happen. That's the order combat. That's the end of turn 5 of the British. So we're going to turn 5 for the French and pray that the relief column is going to turn up, because it has an ambulance and I could really do with that right about now. Right, so I don't really know where to start. To start with a positive, the cavalry turned up. Yay! So the relief columns turned up. I've got one more turn after this for them to actually do something effectual. None of the infantry turned up, and the ambulance didn't turn up either. But the bad. Basically, what I wanted was I wanted a unit in here in the chateau to move into the garden and help basically give fire and defend it. Unfortunately, I blundered the roll, so a double 6, and I wasn't in range to take advantage of the re-roll, and then I rolled on the blunder results table, and they basically have just left the battlefield. They had to take 2 full moves away from the closest enemy unit, which was these guys. So they've seen the King's Own come surging across, and they've bottled it and legged it. So now I'm not in control of that area. I'm not in control of that area. And this one is looking a little bit tentative at the minute. So it's just straight into French shooting. I'm going to start over here because I'm going to see those horrible little green gits off if it's the last thing I do. So the French skirmishers are going to be hitting them on +1 for the 6-inch range, -1 for the shaken, -1 because they're skirmishers. So it's 2d6, hitting on 5s, re-rolling 1. 1 hit, they're disordered. 1 save of 4 for the 95th Rifles. Hey! That's good, they're going to be taking a break test. So, moving on. The 28th line, they're going to be shooting at the King's Own, who have just come in. So, they're going to have 3 dice. I'll just say here, they could have taken an initiative move and charged, but I thought that the shooting might be more effective. I might regret this. So, 3 dice, and they're going to be hitting on 4s. That's 1 hit. 1 save of 4 for the King's Own. No, 1 casualty. So the final bit of shooting here for me is the Old Guard are going to carry on their fire against these skirmishers. So they're hitting on 5s. It's disordered. 1 save of 4. 1 casualty. So come on, this is it. So break test and the 95th Rifles. They are disordered, which is -1. They are 1 casualty in excess, which is -1. So, Hayley, it's 2d6 -2. You need as high as you possibly can. That will do. -2. That's a 4. Finally, they're gone.
I want to see evidence.
They got. You want to see the evidence? They're gone. I'll show it to you, but they're gone. So long. I don't want to see. I don't want to be smug, but that's been 5 games in the making. Okay, so that's the end of the French turn. So everything's played for now. There's not a lot of disordered units, so there can be a big British advance now. So we're going to British turn 6. Right, okay then, so interesting. So Hayley opted with the 69th to charge into the courtyard and take on the Old Guard, whose closing fire didn't do anything, which seems to be a common theme here. Why do I say that? Who's this? This is the King's Own. They charged the 28th, who managed to put 1 casualty on them. The Colonel, importantly, has joined the King's Own for this combat. Highlanders couldn't do anything. Over here, the Hanoverians carried on their march forwards. A rally casualty was removed, but unfortunately no other movement took place. So we'll just have to see what happens. Will the French cavalry actually get a charge off next turn and settle the odds? So it's a little bit up in the air at the minute because I only actually own contested the courtyard at the front, and actually I don't even own this bit because I haven't got anybody in here. They're outside it. I need to get some units in there next turn. This could go badly. I didn't realise that. So we'll go into the British shooting. We've just realised that I never took my break test for my Voltigeurs, so I will do that now. They haven't done anything really, so it won't make a difference. So it's 2d6 minus 1. So that would have been a retreat. So I think 9 inches back. I have a feeling they're going to have gone off the board. Okay, so with that, there is actually no shooting at all. So it's just going to be straight into combat. So Hayley, it's your turn. What combat would you like to do first? We've got the one with the old guard, or we've got the one here. We'll do the old guard. So the 69th have charged. So they get +1. They've got 6 dice, and they're going to be hitting on freeze. All but one.
5 hits.
5 hits. The old guard have 8 dice, and they're hitting on 4s. 3 hits. The old guard need 5 saves of 3. Ooh, 3 casualty. You need 3 saves of 4.
Yes.
Oh, no way.
One.
Okay, so that was a bit brutal. So let's have a look at it. So the British have scored 3 casualties, which has also shaken the old guard. So the old guard will be taking a break test, and I scored no casualties, which is terrible. So the British win. The old guard are testing. It's 2d6. There's no excess casualties, and this could go really badly. So 2d6 for the old guard. Nope. I'm in my d6. They're staying exactly where they are. So that fight will go into next turn. So the other big combat. So we've got the King's Own, who have 6 dice. And they're going to be hitting on freeze, but the Colonel is with them, so he adds another dice to the combat. So they get 7 dice hitting on freeze.
All of them.
I've got to say, you've got some amazing close combat rolls. That is brilliant. I have 6 dice coming back at you, and I'm hitting on 4s. 3. 7 saves of 4 for the French. Oh, 2 casualties. 3 saves of 4 for the British. 2 casualties. So that's an interesting situation. So I caused 2 casualties on Hayley. She's caused 2 casualties on me. There's no supports. There's nothing. So the combat was a draw. So any units that are shaken have to test. Well, Hayley's taken 2 extra casualties, which means she's shaken, and I've taken 2 extra casualties, which means I'm shaken. So both units are going to be testing 2d6 minus 1. So it's entirely possible that both units are going to be destroyed. 2d6 minus 1 for the French. Oh, that's a 7, so I think they're going to be retiring. And for Hayley. Oh, they're not going anywhere. It's absolutely fine. My unit's holding its ground as well. It's absolutely fine. So all of this is going to come down to the next turn, basically, and who is going to win this fight. And maybe the Cuirassiers will do something. So, with that in mind, we'll go into the French final turn. Okay, so I didn't have a lot of options. All I did was my colonel has joined a unit. So we've got my unit with a colonel, Hayley's unit with a colonel. Both our units are shaken, so it's a bit of a slugfest. This unit couldn't do anything because they're shaken, so they can't advance towards the enemy. And I couldn't remove the shaken because it was either my colonel goes over there and helps them, or he joins in the combat. So he's actually going to help in the combat. The old guard are going to continue this fight. Over here, my Cuirassiers charged, and the Hanoverians formed square. So that was a big waste of time. And my other units just didn't turn up. So the reinforcements just never turned up. So we'll go into close combat. I think we'll do the old guard first. So the old guard get 8 dice, and they are going to be hitting on 4s.
And stat is 5. Hayley striking back with 6 dice, hitting on 4s. No, you're hitting on 3s because you won the last round. 4. 5 saves of 4 for Hayley. 2 casualties. 5 saves of 3 for the old guard. They saved them all.
Okay, so I put 2 casualties on Hayley, which has made her shaken and put her over a stamina limit. So Hayley is going to be testing. She lost to combat. 2d6 minus 1. 6, so they're just going to be retiring 1 move. Okay, so they've retreated. So the old guard have maintained control of the courtyard at the front, but the British have retreated back out towards the barricades. So now we come to the all-important combat. 7 dice each, both hitting on 4s because it was a draw. So let's see how this works out. 7 dice hitting on 5s because we're shaken. Oh,
No,
that's not good.
1 hit.
1 hit? Oh yeah, 1 5.
5.
7 dice hitting on 5s for Hayley. Oh, 3 hits.
3.
3 saves of 4 for the French. 2 casualties. 1 save of 4 for the British. No, 1 casualty. Okay, so the French took 2 casualties. So Hayley gets 2 points, plus she's supported for another point, that's 3. Hayley took 1 casualty, so she wins the combat. So the French are testing minus 2 for excess casualties. Nice and high, nice and high. Minus 2 is a 7. It's a 7, so they're fine. So the combat just grinds on. So it ends up contested. So that is the end of it. So now we've got to see if it goes into one final turn. So Hayley, why don't you roll a dice? On a 1, 2, or 3, the game ends. On a 4, 5, or 6, it goes into a final turn. One more turn. Right, so over here, the Hanoverians have launched an attack into the courtyard against the old guard, and that was it because everybody else failed their order, failed all their order rolls. On this side, because everyone is shaken, there can't be any advances. All eyes are basically on this combat. What's going to happen? Whoever wins this combat is effectively going to control this area. So, Hayley, which combat do you want to do first? That one or the old guard?
Let's do the old guard.
We'll do the old guard.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Hanoverians have launched an attack. Hanoverians get 6 dice, and they are going to be hitting on 3s. 4 hits. 8 dice going back, and I'm hitting on 5s because I'm shaken. Oh, 1, 2, 3 hits. 4 saves of 3. Oh, 1 casualty. 3 saves of 4 for the Hanoverians. 1 casualty. So it's 1 casualty apiece. There's no one supporting. However, it is a draw, but that 1 casualty is enough to put me over. So shaking units have to test. So I'm 2d6 minus 1. That's a 5. I've got the Valiant rule, but I think that only means that you do it if you fail a test. I don't think you optionally get to. I will just double check. Okay, so no, Valiant only comes into play, as I read it, if they fail the break tests, which they didn't, so they have to retreat. So they are going to leave. They're not going to hop into that area because there's 2 enemy there. So they're going to leave, and Hayley's taking command out. The Hanoverians yet again have seen off the old guard. So we come down to the big combat. 7 dice each. Everybody's shaken. It's not good. Who won the last combat? You did, didn't I? I had to. No, you won the combat.
Yes.
So you get +1 to your rolls this turn. 7 dice for Hayley, hitting on 4s because she won the last round. 1, 2, 3 hits. 7 dice hitting on 5s for the French. 2 hits. 3 saves of 4 for the French. 2 casualties. 2 saves of 4 for the British.
Yes.
No! Okay, so I've lost by 2. I'm shaken. I'm not disordered, so I'm 2d6 minus 2. Oh, I've got to retire. That's bad. That's very bad. Right, so slight change. There's one thing I neglected. the pile of corpses, which we, as we say, was a -1 to the break test result of a unit within range of it, which I am. So we just measured it. So my result is not a 5. It's in fact a 4, which means that unit has broken. So they're gone. And Hayley can now consolidate on her win there. And I think that is going to result in a win for the British. But we will work it out. It might not. So, yeah, that unit is destroyed. Right, so my colonel is dead. So my brigade is broken. So it's my turn 7. But these guys are going to be leaving. So Hayley's basically got control. So the only thing I've got is the cuirassiers. We'll just go into the French turn. So, as we say... They, because the brigade is broken, because the colonel is dead, would leave the table. So I'm gonna just leave them there for the second. The French here, they form square. I'm just going to try and do something. They are going to charge your skirmishers. Now, do you want to stand or do you want to evade?
Oh, I don't know. I'll stand.
You're going to stand? Okay. All right. I don't think it's going to make a lot of difference at this point, but we'll go for it. So, will they get it off? Yep, so they charge you stand, so at least you get to shoot. 2d6 hitting on freeze, you get to reroll 1 for sharpshooter. Oh no. Yep, so 2 saves of 3 for the cuirassiers.
Nice.
Nice, yep. So we'll go into the hand-to-hand. The cuirassiers have 9 dice, and they are hitting on freeze. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits. 4 dice hitting on 4s for the Jaegers.
3 hits.
3 hits. Ooh.
5 saves of 4 for the Jaegers. 2.
3 saves of 3 for the cuirassiers. That's it. So the Jaegers have taken 2 casualties. They've lost the combat and they're taking a break test.
As high as I can.
2d6 as high as you can. That'll do it. So they just hold their ground. Okay, so that is it. That is the end of the turn. So I'm not very happy that the French reinforcements didn't turn up in their entirety. We'll be having words, although the French have held out well. He points the camera here. There isn't actually any French left in the chateau. So we'll go through the victory points and we'll come back to you and we'll have a look at who the winner is. Right. So that wasn't actually as close as I thought it was when we actually sat and worked it out. So I have lost... What have I lost? I've lost the Voltigeurs. I've lost the Old Guard. I lost a unit here that just left because they didn't want to fight anymore. They've had a unit seen off. This unit have actually left the battlefield destroyed and the other unit left. So Hayley got I think it was just 12 points through destroyed units. I don't actually have any shaken units. And then she owns the courtyard at the front for 2 points, and she owns the barricade area for 2 points. So Hayley ends on a big 16 points. Let's see what the French have. The French have shaken 1, 2, 3 units for 3 points, and they have seen off the Scots Greys for 2 points, and they have seen off somebody else that I can't remember. Oh no, they didn't even see them off. It was those Hanoverians there. They just left and never came back, and they get 2 points. They count as destroyed. So they finish on 7. So it's a result of 16-7 to the British. But I'd like to just say it only came, in my opinion, it was a great game. The French had it until that 5th turn when they just came, when the Scots Greys came charging down there.
Ultimately, they lost, so it doesn't matter.
They did lose.
Not really
I mean,
fancy a third lockdown. Though.
Maybe not a third lockdown. No, I'd just like to say as well, because obviously in this, if you watched the stream, we were saying the other day just how ineffectual cavalry are, and that wasn't anything to do with
second one.
That's the second one. The Scots Greys going barrering down, no opportunity to form square. Why would you form square if you're in a defendable position with the Old Guard and with the cannons? But no, what a game! So we hope you guys have enjoyed this. Hayley wanted to have another game, so we'll have to see. I might have to invite Ken back just so I can just so I can just give moral support, just so I can beat him. But no, we hope you guys enjoyed this. Trying to think of a slightly different scenario, and again, we just like to show what you can do on a 6x4 table. and so you don't have to always use the massive tables. That being said, if we can crack out the big table again soon, we will. Anyway, we hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope that everyone is safe and well, and we will
see you in the next lockdown.
we will see you all again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
We're just packing up, and I've just remembered the most important thing, and I can't believe I forgot it. I did destroy the 95th rifles. So that is 2 more points, and that is all that matters. That's all that matters to me, is that they're gone. So I'm having those 2 points. I might have still lost, but that was the big difference for the entire game, clearly.